During the last decade, spending winter on a canal boat has led me to have some of the most peaceful, scenic and serene experiences I could have ever imagined. In fact, the best video that I'll probably ever post to this channel features one such incredible winter's morning, waking up to an environment surrounding the boat that looks like this. But do not be fooled by these incredible romantic scenes and the thought of a crackling wood fire going, keeping you toasty on the boat. As even in that snowy video I talk about the downside of winter. And as another incredible scenic clip, let's just take a look here on the bank of the River Dee in the shadow of the mighty Pontcysyllu Aqueduct as it rises up in the mist of a Welsh valley. It is once again an absolutely incredible scene, very atmospheric and beautiful and stunning and eerie in equal measure. The reality of this clip is, however, that it was filmed just after 4 PM on a random November day, and as such, we're staring down the business end of a few months of increasingly bad weather conditions, and of course, shorter, darker days. And whereas it may make for an incredible, eerie, murky video clip to watch on YouTube, when this kind of weather becomes the backdrop day after day to the drudgeries of everyday life that we all have to go through, whether on a boat or in a house, it can start to feel like a very grinding, oppressive and miserable environment to be conducting your life in, especially with the unknown quantity that the weather is. And I can particularly look back to a winter in my boat life experience of 2015 to 2016, where for literally months on end we had rain of some form every single day, and at that point my main form of transport was pedalling my bike, so you can imagine how grinding that period became when every time I went to do anything there was a muddy towpath involved, there was incredibly muddy back lanes to avoid cycling on the busy roads. And I think that's an important thing that a lot of people who are looking romantically at the thought of boat life will focus on things like, oh, is it going to be cold on the boat in the winter? And that's almost a running joke in the boating community, because as many people can tell you, heating such a small indoor area doesn't take too much, and you can end up having freezing temperatures outside, and while people might walk past and think, oh, I bet it's cold on there, you're having to open windows and doors to let the heat out. Whereas the more nebulous idea of what it's going to feel like to be out in a rural, potentially isolated feeling location as the winter weather descends and envelops the entire environment, lending it either a stunning, glorious bit of gold sunlight as the sun rises and falls on spectacular clear days, or, as is more often the case, grinds away in a miserable greyness and increasingly wet and chilly outdoor environment. How is that going to make people feel? Now, I know I've been incredibly lucky to grow up not too far from the canal and in a rural area, so a lot of my friends and family have always been spread around not far from miles and miles of canal. So I have the benefit personally of knowing that even if I don't see people all the time, there are people not too far away from a lot of places I can moor my boat. So psychologically I know I can hop down the towpath and in no time be with people I know and care about. Whereas that's definitely not the case for everybody. And if you're remote and isolated in a sense that you're not within easy access of people and places that you know, and then you're waking up day after day to an environment that makes you feel like the last person on earth, it can have a much bigger impact on your mood than I think a lot of people realise. I'd like to just focus on these autumnal boating clips here and just replay a few seconds here of that previous video in the sunny boating trip. And it shows a really good illustration basically of how even a modest change in weather conditions from a sunny day to an overcast day in autumn can completely change the tone and feeling of the environment and completely and utterly sap the life out of the surroundings, where you've got this amazing autumnal experience with the sun lit in a blue sky, the golden sunlight hitting the changing colours of the trees, to then another completely unedited clip, literally 1 mile down the canal just a few days later without that sun, and it's almost as if someone's turned the saturation on the world down. And that's not even a miserable, wet, rainy day. That's just the difference between the sun being out or not. So it may well be the stereotypical summer, autumn and winter clips and imagery that is the headline and attention-grabbing, romanticised view of boat life. But it's important to remember that for every day you wake up and step off the back of the boat to a sight like this, you're more than likely over these long autumn and winter months to step off the boat and find you can't see the far side of the lake, or worse still, you can't see the near side of the lake. And I think it's something that now in the technology age that is more true than ever. I've repeated it for years and years, and that is that almost anybody could live on a boat, but not everybody would like it. And for someone like me who loves wandering around in these places, you can see I'm here at the bank of the River Dee in the shadow of the aqueduct again, but just that couple of hours later it's pitch black, it's pouring with rain, and it's a much less appealing environment to be out and about in, and certainly one I'm definitely not going to get too close to the edge of a raging river in. But whereas this appeals to me on a very fundamental level, a lot of people think that they would like a bit of a nomadic rural lifestyle. But once you're out here in these incredibly bitter, chilly mornings or evenings, it's definitely even I sometimes have a moment of thinking, what am I doing? What am I doing in my life? Anyway, my friends, I think I'll leave you with a little clip from 6 AM that I posted to TikTok and as a little short video here on the YouTube channel, I believe, and say thank you very much for tuning in. Please do consider checking out my short books about boat life, available as Kindle books and as a paperback collection. And, well, feel free to use the links in the description to follow me all over the internet. Until the next time, my friends, keep it interesting, keep it boat-worthy, have a fantastic day, and of course, farewell. Well, my friends, I thought I would reintroduce 6 AM walks into my life, and I've got to say, there's definitely something very peaceful and pleasant about being out and about at this hour. But as you can see, here on Punks Off the Aqueduct, with the mist rising up from the River Dee below as the aqueduct itself disappears off into the murk of a December morning, there's something a little haunting and a little eerie about it, to say the least. But absolutely lovely to be out and to sort of get a head start on the day. Lovely stuff. Right, I'll see you around, my friends.